Most people do not like politicians. They feel like they're ignored by them and they don't represent their interests. This is true for many people, but it's not true for anyone more than homeless people. Homeless people are ignored by society and politicians. Except one politician. Ben McAdams is the mayor of Salt Lake City, Utah, and he is a politician like no other. He's always done good for his community, and he's known for not being someone who acts in front of the camera and does something different behind closed doors. Ben was doing a great job and his city was improving, but there was one issue that would simply not improve. In fact, it was getting worse day by day. This was the issue of homelessness in the city. The city had done some things to help the homeless before. Millions of dollars were spent on homeless centers. This meant homeless people would be able to eat and also have somewhere to sleep overnight. But despite all the money spent on this, the city's homeless preferred to avoid the shelters. Many of the homeless would actually prefer to sleep on the streets overnight instead of spending the night in the shelter. Ben was always very confused by this. He thought there's specialized centers for homeless people to go to, so why would they want to sleep out in the cold on the street? It made no sense to him, so he asked his city officials. But every time he asked, he would get the same response. They would say that homeless people are lazy and unmotivated, and that homeless people simply don't want to change their own lives for the better. Most mayors would have just taken the advice of these city officials. After all, they're getting paid either way. But Ben McAdams is not like most politicians. He decided to think outside of the box and do something spontaneous. One Friday afternoon, he told his assistant he was taking his weekend break early. He changed out of his expensive suit and instead put on some raggedy old clothes. He put on a baggy sweater with holes in it and also some dirty ripped jeans. He then left his nice fancy office, but instead of heading home, he went to the cold, hard streets. For that Friday night and over the weekend, he became a homeless man in disguise. All he had with him was a piece of canvas to sleep on, a bag of old clothes, and a cell phone for emergencies. When he went to the city's garbage dumps and streets popular with homeless people, he blended right in. People would often smile at him in the street before, but now that he wasn't wearing his suit, it was like he was invisible. He soon realized that many people simply shut out homeless people. When they walk past them, they just pretend they're not there. Some people did give him a few coins, but this was barely enough for him to buy a small snack, let alone a good meal. Ben left his wallet behind, so he was literally starving the entire time he was out on the streets. He was stunned by the lack of help that he received from the public. Ben spent his first night as an undercover tramp on the streets. He asked a homeless man he was sleeping next to, "Why don't you stay at the shelter overnight?" And the homeless man told him that homeless centers are very dangerous places. Not only do people hurt you at homeless centers, but also consumption of illegal substances runs rife in the centers. And all this happens while the staff simply turn a blind eye. The homeless man said not only can you lose all of your belongings, but your health and maybe even life as well. The homeless man also said that the staff were sometimes very mean to the homeless, and would also demand money from them as well. At first, the mayor did not entirely believe this. After all, his city officials told him everything was fine. They said that the homeless shelters were running smoothly, and that homeless people being lazy was the only reason they weren't using the shelters. With the new information Ben had, he decided to investigate further. The next night, Ben headed to the city's homeless shelter. He had no idea what to expect as he'd never been there before. He walked in and put his bags on a bunk bed, but as soon as he did, the homeless man in the bunk bed next to him gave him a warning. He said, "Keep your shoes on when you're sleeping at night, otherwise they will be taken." He said keep any other personal belongings in your pockets or they will be stolen. The homeless man also told Ben, do not go in the bathroom at night. He said that if you do, people in there may try to hurt you and you could also run into other problems. He also said if you want to wake up tomorrow night, you need to be as quiet as possible. The mayor was in shock when he heard this. But then things got even worse. Ben heard and smelt people doing illegal substances, and all night strange-looking men who seemed to be criminals would roam around the shelter. They would talk with the staff and guards, walking in and out. Whenever these strange men walked in, the homeless people in the shelter seemed terrified. They would not even look in their direction. Ben decided to ask the shelter staff who are these strange people who keep walking in and out, and the response from the shelter's staff shocked him. The staff said, "Stay out of it and go to sleep, or leave the shelter." It turns out the homeless guy who said the staff were collecting money was right in a way. In reality, these were criminals posing as shelter staff. They would then harass the homeless people and try and get their money. As well as this, scuffles and brawls broke out frequently in the shelter. Unlike most mayors who never see this, Ben actually did with his own eyes. And this gave him a whole new perspective on why homeless people avoid homeless shelters. Ben's undercover operation lasted for 2 days and 3 nights. And amazingly, he kept it totally secret, not telling anyone. And the mayor only went public with his story 4 months later. Ben said one of the worst things he saw was a homeless man being pulled out of his bed. The man's head banged on the concrete floor and Ben heard a loud thump. Although Ben's experience was not very nice, it was eye-opening and very useful. He realized homeless people have 3 big questions every day when they wake up. First is where to look for food, second is how to spend the day, and third is where to sleep. The mayor soon fired everyone who worked in the shelter, and also the city officials who lied to him and said everything was fine. He then decided to build 3 new homeless shelters. He also made sure that these were far away from any liquor stores. And the new shelters will have better trained guards and staff. Ben said, "I know that my 3 days and 2 nights is nothing compared to most homeless people, but it was still a very helpful insight." He supported a groundbreaking bill which increased funding to tackle homelessness, and he's also called for a radically different approach to addressing homelessness. But now it's time to make your voice heard. Comment down below what you think about this mayor's secret mission. If you want some more amazing videos, then check out my second channel. But as always, thanks for watching. There are some more videos on screen right now. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Top 10s.